A peaceful beach near Las Vegas becomes the setting for a nightmare when a mysterious force turns the sand into a deadly trap. It all started with a group of carefree teenagers throwing the ultimate beach party. The party's ringleader Mitch kicks things off with a bold move, collecting everyone's phones. "You'll get them back when we're done," he announces, setting the stage for what would become a desperate situation. While the music pumps and drinks flow, something strange catches the attention of Vance and Gilbert during their firewood run. They stumble upon a massive, otherworldly object that sends chills down their spines. But hey, when you're young and the party's hot, who has time to worry about mysterious discoveries? The next morning tells a different story. As the sun rises over the aftermath of their wild night, Kaylee and Mitch wake up in a lifeboat, ready to head home. But their plans screech to a halt when Kaylee witnesses something horrifying. A small bird touching the sand suddenly gets pulled under, vanishing completely in seconds. Meanwhile, in a nearby vehicle, the rest of the hungover group starts stirring. Chanda spots her friend Mara passed out on one of the wooden tables, still deep in post-party sleep. As Chanda tries to wake her friend, they have no idea that their beach paradise is about to become a deadly trap. The horror unfolds in seconds. Kaylee desperately shouts a warning to Mara about the dangerous sand, but it's too late. The hungover girl has already stepped off the table. The moment her feet touch the ground, it's as if invisible hands grab her ankles. In a panic, Mara tries to pull herself free, but each movement only makes things worse. Her screams pierce the morning air as the sand slowly drags her under. Vance, driven by instinct to save her, leaps from the safety of the vehicle. It's a fatal mistake. The sand claims him instantly, pulling him down as his friends watch in horror. Mitch springs into action, hurling a life raft toward Vance, urging him to grab hold, but the sand's grip is too strong. In a grotesque display, the sand seemingly melts Vance's face before dragging both him and Marcia into its depths. The survivors, trapped on their makeshift islands of safety, frantically try to make sense of this nightmare. Ronnie throws out a wild theory about government experiments and chemical weapons. Jonah disagrees, suggesting it might be some kind of flesh-eating quicksand. While they argue, Chanda makes the most practical suggestion: call for help. That's when reality hits them even harder. Thanks to Mitch's party rule, all their phones are locked away in the trunk of a car that's now completely dead. Its battery drained after someone left the headlights on all night. Their lifeline to the outside world sits just feet away, but it might as well be miles with the deadly sand between them and salvation. The truth reveals itself in a horrifying way when Kaylee inches her hand toward the sand from her perch on the staircase. What she sees makes her blood run cold. Countless writhing tentacles, hungry for anything alive that dares come close. The tense moment is broken by Gilbert's confused shouting. He's just woken up to find himself trapped in a metal barrel, his face decorated with prank drawings from the night before. His anger quickly turns to terror as his friends frantically warn him to stay put. The sand has already claimed 2 victims, and he could be next. Mitch tries playing hero, spinning a comforting lie about the rising tide that will supposedly save Gilbert in a few hours. But Kaylee sees right through it, confronting Mitch about his false hope. "The tide won't rise nearly high enough," she whispers to him, and his grim nod confirms what they both know. He's just trying to keep Gilbert calm. As the sun climbs higher, their situation grows more desperate. Inside the lifeboat, Kaylee's search for anything useful turns up a box of matches, a potential lifeline she tucks away for later, and some sunscreen, which she manages to get to her friends trapped in the car. At least they won't burn while fighting for their lives. But the worst revelation comes as they piece together the events of last night. Kaylee's voice shakes as she remembers. There were more people at the party, lots more. Their eyes scan the beach, seeing abandoned belongings scattered across the sand. The horrible reality sinks in. Everyone else is already gone, swallowed by whatever lurks beneath the surface. As Jonah carefully passes sunscreen to a badly burning Gilbert, Kaylee makes a chilling discovery. That weird object Vance and Gilbert found last night? It's now lying in pieces across the beach. The group's blood runs cold as reality hits them. They're dealing with something that hatched from what appears to be an alien egg while they slept through their drunken stupor. Gilbert nearly loses it at this revelation, but Kaylee's quick thinking offers a glimmer of hope. If it just hatched, it can't be full grown yet, she reasons. We might still have a chance. Taking charge, she devises a test using some sausages to map out the creature's reach. The first attempt ends quickly. The sausage vanishes instantly into the sand. Their second try gets hijacked by a seagull, much to the fury of a starving Gilbert watching from his barrel prison. But the third throw reveals something crucial. They finally find the monster's limit. Their celebration is short-lived though, as Chanda points out the brutal truth. Knowing the safe zone doesn't help if they can't reach it. That's when Jonah hatches what seems like a brilliant plan. Grabbing surfboards from the car, he attempts to create a makeshift bridge across the deadly sand. Step by step, he inches his way toward a wooden table, balanced precariously on his floating pathway. For a moment, it seems like it might work, until one board starts to slip. Time seems to freeze as Jonah hangs suspended over the sand. The group watches in horror as tentacles emerge, wrapping around his body. His agonized screams fill the air as he makes one desperate, adrenaline-fueled leap toward the table. He makes it, but at a terrible cost. When he pulls himself up, they can all see the gruesome wounds across his stomach, a stark reminder of how close he came to joining the others beneath the sand. Through gritted teeth and sheer willpower, Jonah manages to stand after a few minutes, but everyone knows their options are running out, and fast. A glimmer of hope emerges when Jonah discovers a bag stuffed with food supplies. But it's a dropped banana that leads to their biggest breakthrough yet. The fruit hits the ground, and miraculously, no tentacles emerge to claim it. Jonah's eyes dart between the banana and the charred remains of last night's bonfire site, his mind racing. That's when it clicks. Fire is their weapon. The creature can't penetrate areas where flames have scorched the sand. Testing his theory, Jonah takes a brave step onto the burned ground. His hypothesis proves correct. No tentacles appear, but their small victory is overshadowed by a grim reality. The wounds across his stomach are getting worse by the minute, his strength visibly fading. Kaylee sees her friend's deteriorating condition and tries to keep him focused. "Just get the supplies to us," she calls out, her voice steady despite her rising panic. Jonah musters his remaining strength, tossing food packages one by one toward his trapped friends. Just as he's about to throw a drink can to Mitch, tragedy strikes. Pain rips through his body as his wounds tear open further. The can tumbles from his grip, hitting the deadly sand below. Jonah collapses onto the table, writhing in agony, while the creature's tentacles methodically push away the surfboards, cutting off any chance of rescue. The situation turns even more dire as the monster launches a new assault. Tentacles whip out of the sand, attacking their vehicle with frightening precision. The sound of tires bursting echoes across the beach as their last potential escape route is systematically destroyed. Now they're truly trapped. Their strongest member is down, their vehicle disabled, and the creature seems to be getting smarter with each passing moment. A desperate plan forms. Get to those confiscated phones in the trunk and call for help. Ronnie volunteers for the dangerous balancing act, but not before entrusting Shonda with a heartbreaking goodbye letter to her mother, just in case. The weight of that moment hangs heavy in the air as she positions herself on the car's bumper. The trunk unlocks with a click, but that's where their luck runs out. Each time Ronnie stretches to lift it, she loses her balance, and the lid slams shut like a steel trap. Kaylee's quick thinking provides a solution. She grabs the rescue hook from the lifeboat, offering Ronnie a lifeline. Just as victory seems within reach, the wail of a police siren shatters their focus. The momentary distraction proves catastrophic. Ronnie slips, and the trunk comes down hard on her fingers, drawing out a cry of pain that mingles with the approaching sirens. The officer's arrival should be their salvation, but instead, it's about to become another nightmare. He stands there, radiating authority and skepticism as he surveys the strange scene, teenagers perched on various objects, pleading with him to stay in his car. Kaylee tries desperately to warn him about the danger lurking beneath the sand, while Gilbert's voice rises with urgency, begging for National Guard intervention against what he claims is a global threat. But the officer's seen too many spring break shenanigans. He dismisses their warnings as drug-induced paranoia, completely unaware that his heavy-duty boots are the only thing keeping him alive as he strolls across the beach. Below his feet, unseen tentacles follow his every step, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The tension builds with each oblivious step the officer takes, while the trapped teenagers can only watch in horror, knowing what's coming but powerless to prevent it. The situation spirals as the officer examines two dire scenarios: Jonah lying on the table, his infection visibly spreading, and Ronnie trapped by the vehicle's merciless grip on her fingers. His attempt to help Gilbert proves futile. Even their combined strength can't budge the young man from his metal prison. Frustration mounting, the officer turns his attention to Kaylee and Mitch in their lifeguard tower sanctuary. "Come down," he orders, demanding answers. Kaylee's voice cracks with desperation as she tries one last time to make him understand. They've already lost friends to whatever lurks beneath the sand. They have injured people who need immediate help, but stepping down means certain death. The officer's patience snaps like a dry twig. The pepper spray appears in his hand, a threat that quickly backfires when he fumbles and drops it onto the deadly surface. It's a fatal mistake. The moment he reaches for it, the sand erupts with writhing tentacles, latching onto his arm with horrifying speed. In a panic, he manages to grab his pepper spray and fires it at the creature, a move that wins him temporary freedom, but at a terrible cost. His arm, now mangled and partially devoured, hangs useless at his side. His screams of agony echo across the beach as the reality of their warnings finally sinks in, far too late. Kaylee watches from above, a bitter taste in her mouth. All of this could have been avoided if he'd just listened. With cold efficiency, she stretches down from her perch to snatch up the dropped pepper spray, leaving the officer to face his fate alone. His desperate screams become a brutal reminder of what happens to those who underestimate their invisible enemy. Clutching the pepper spray like a lifeline, Mitch formulates what he believes is their best shot at survival. "I'm the fastest," he declares, outlining his desperate plan to wrap his feet in towels and make a sprint for help. The pepper spray should buy him precious seconds against the creature. It's risky, but they're running out of options. The plan crumbles before it even begins. As Chanda throws the towels toward him, fate deals another cruel blow. The beach cabin's railing gives way with a sickening crack. Mitch plummets, and the sand eagerly claims its next victim. His screams of terror turn to ones of numbness as the creature begins its feast. In mere seconds, the sand tentacles pierce his throat, silencing him forever. All that remains of their friend is a crimson stain spreading across the beach. Kaylee forces down her horror, knowing that paralysis means death. She channels her fear into action, rallying her remaining companions. With quick thinking, she tears off another piece of railing, creating a makeshift bridge to the vehicle where Chanda waits. The two girls successfully reach Ronnie, finally freeing her crushed fingers and hastily bandaging the wound. "Just hold on a little longer," Kaylee calls to Gilbert, still trapped in his barrel prison. "We're coming for you next." But first, they need to reach Jonah. The trio carefully positions their wooden planks, creating a precarious pathway across the deadly sand. Ronnie takes up the rear, her bandaged hand throbbing with each careful step. Halfway across, the blood loss takes its toll. Her vision swims, her balance wavers, and in a heart-stopping moment, she stumbles toward the waiting sand below. The ground suddenly meets her body. Kaylee desperately tries to save her friend with pepper spray, but it's no use. The tentacles snatch the girl, dragging her underground in seconds. Now, only 4 survivors remain. Determined to escape, they put their plan into action. Chanda, following Mitch's clever strategy, wraps her feet with towels soaked in the spray. She makes a bold dash for the vehicle. As Chanda reaches it, Gilbert's excitement soars. They might just survive this nightmare. But their hope is short-lived. The creature oozes under the metal barrel, sending tremors through the sand. Gilbert's body starts to crumble from within. In a horrifying moment, the alien's true tentacles emerge, pulling the young man down to the beach. Chanda, witnessing her friend's brutal end, breaks down in tears. The monster seizes this moment of weakness, attacking the vehicle and knocking the girl unconscious on its hood. Night falls, and the trio remains trapped on this deadly shore. Hours pass before Kaylee finally rouses her friend. While exploring the vehicle, Chanda discovers a lifeline, a lifeboat. She inflates it on the ground, creating a makeshift platform to navigate the treacherous sand. Working together, Chanda and Kaylee carefully move Jonah to the car. The young man is barely conscious, weakened by his painful injuries. Just as escape seems within reach, a massive tentacle bursts from the ground. The violent tremor hurls Kaylee back onto the lifeboat. Quick thinking, Kaylee scrambles to the car's roof, reaching for a fuel canister. The monster strikes again, knocking it from her grasp. Undeterred, she grabs the last gallon and leaps into action. With determination burning in her eyes, Kaylee pours gasoline around the vehicle, creating a protective circle of fuel. As the creature readies its next assault, Kaylee's mind races. She grabs the matches she'd discovered earlier, her hands trembling with determination. In a flash, she ignites the fuel trail. The monster's massive body erupts in flames, its agonized writhing a terrifying spectacle. The girls scramble back to the car, their hearts pounding. Glowing tentacles, countless and desperate, assault their shelter. For what feels like an eternity, they fend off the relentless attack. Finally, mercifully, the creature retreats. Their relief is short-lived. Turning to Jonah, a devastating realization hits them. Their friend is gone. Tears flow as they bid a heartbreaking farewell to their last companion. The weight of their isolation settles in. All they can do now is wait and hope for rescue. Exhausted beyond measure, the girls cling to each other. They try to find some rest after their harrowing ordeal, the memory of combat still fresh in their minds. Dawn breaks, bringing with it an unexpected sound, a knock on the window. A surfer, puzzled by the scene before him, has stumbled upon their refuge. The girls stir, hardly daring to believe their eyes. Cautiously, they open the door. Their feet touch the sand. No attack comes. A wave of relief washes over them, almost too powerful to bear. With heavy hearts, they leave Jonah's body in the car, a final tribute to their fallen friend. As they depart, they cast one last glance at the beach, where once an alien terror lurked, now only a vast crater remains, a silent testament to their incredible survival and the friends they lost along the way.